Rounding out our student videos is a presentation from Matt Orszak. Matt's a PhD student at the University of Alberta, working under Dr. Doug Corver in the Poultry Nutrition Research Group. Now, he returned to school in 2021 to undertake his PhD program after 12 years with Alberta's provincial government as a research associate, working primarily on projects relating to poultry feedstuffs. Now, his PhD research seeks to address many of the knowledge barriers that currently limit the use of Western Canadian Faba beans in poultry feeding. And some really interesting results already coming forward. So let's see Matt's video.
Hi, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying this year's edition of the Western Poultry Conference. My name is Matt Orszak, and I'm a PhD student here at the University of Alberta, as working with Dr. Doug Corver and the Poultry Nutrition Research Group. As a result of what I can only imagine is a lapse in judgment by the conference organizers, they've actually given me a few minutes to talk to you today about my project, but also to solicit your involvement and your assistance with one component of that research. We'll get to that in a minute. So the focus of my research is on Faba beans and their applicability to poultry feeding. I thought I would just give a shout out to the supporters of the project, Egg Farmers of Alberta, Egg Farmers of Canada, Alberta Chicken Producers, the Saskatchewan and Alberta Pulse Growers Commissions, and of course ARDAR, Results-Driven Agricultural Research. So big shout out to them and thanks to them. Faba beans, they've been grown in Western Canada for decades. Usually the acreage has been somewhat stagnant, and that's in part because of limited international markets and fairly low consumption domestically. But some of the research that's come out, especially some that was done here in the last few years, has shown what I believe to be some real potential and some real opportunities to incorporate Faba beans into poultry feeds. Two of those opportunities specifically, I think, are to reduce the industry's reliance on soybean meal as the only protein source. And the other one is also to measurably reduce the greenhouse gas footprint of poultry production. So anyhow, now, as you can probably imagine, my research is going to be focused on a lot of the technical issues. So things like nutrient digestibility, variability from across different samples, inclusion levels, the relative significance of anti-nutritional factors like tannins and things like that. But probably everybody in the room here recognizes that there is a bit of a gap or a gulf, depending on the situation, between research and application. And what helps to bridge those two and to get research into application is getting a better understanding of the logistical and practical constraints when it comes to taking it from the lab to the farm. And this is where I need your help now. So one of the activities that we have planned as part of this overall project is a survey. And the survey is basically going to be looking for input from producers, but also nutritionists and people in the feed industry to help us identify some of those ground level issues that, once we've solved some of the technical issues and we have some of that knowledge, the next step is then, well, how do we address some of these other barriers? And that's why we need your input. So as part of this project, we are going to be preparing two different surveys. One that's going to be directed to nutritionists, and that one very likely we will be disseminating it in partnership with the Animal Nutrition Association of Canada. And to those of you who are producers, we'll likely be reaching out through your respective commodity organizations. What we're hoping is the feedback, it'll help shape sort of our communication strategy and also identify what types of information are of interest to different stakeholders in the research. But we're also hoping that it will lay the groundwork for the next step, which would be to specifically head on identify address some of these practical issues, which is not necessarily through research. Sometimes it's just through getting the right people around the table. So anyhow, the current status is we have drafted the surveys, and they are right now being reviewed by the human ethics review people at the University of Alberta, which is very important. It's a very important quality assurance component to the research that we do here. But once it is available, we will be disseminating it out through the respective commodity groups. Just in case there are some concerns, we will not be collecting any personal information through the survey. The only information particular, about your farm would be the size, the commodity, things like that, but no personal information per se. Any information that we do collect through the survey will be safeguarded in accordance with best practices and procedures that have been well established at the University of Alberta for survey type research. So I'm here at the conference today. So if you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, come and find me. I'd love to talk to you, whether it's about the project in general or whether it's specifically about the survey. So just to conclude, thank you to the organizers for their lapse in judgment and letting me talk to all of you here. And hope you enjoy the rest of the day and that you take away some important things that you'll be able to apply in your day-to-day work. Okay, thank you very much.